Hi, I'm Nel Suraj, and welcome to Divine Prescriptions for Your Immunity. Coronavirus has spread to almost every country on our planet. Currently, over 3.6 million people have been infected worldwide, and over 250,000 have died as a result. Coronavirus began with a mortality rate of 2% in February. Today, it stands at 7%. Here in South Africa, we had our first infection 8 weeks ago. Today, we have 7,200 cases. In most nations, including our own, we have not seen the peak as yet. But in the light of these perilous times, how can we, as sons of God, secure divine immunity? Let me show you. One of the greatest examples of divine immunity being conferred on God's people is found in Exodus chapter 12. And Exodus chapter 12 was when the first Passover was observed. The blood of the lamb was placed on the doors, and its body was eaten with unleavened bread indoors. And God said in verse 13, "Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not destroy you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt." So the Passover was literally about the plague passing over God's people. It was actually a sign of divine immunity. Now we know that the Passover lamb was a type of Christ, and we know that Christ's finished work on the cross was the prophetic fulfillment of the Passover. Also, if we read verse 14 and 24, you will see that the Passover was to be an everlasting observance, and Israel was to keep the Passover always and forever. That's stipulated by the Lord. And so accordingly, the Passover was kept throughout the time of the law and throughout the time of the prophets. And when Jesus came, he became its fulfillment. Now, if God commanded the Passover feast to be kept forever, how are we in the church age going to keep it? How do we keep it? Jesus showed us how. In Luke chapter 22 and verse 19, Jesus said, "Do this in remembrance of me." So you see, it's by the breaking of bread, also known as the Lord's Supper, that we keep the Passover and perpetuate it. So the breaking of bread is a powerful portal of grace that connects us to the finished work of the cross, which is the true Passover. And I hope this is making sense to you. What you also need to understand is that sickness entered the world through the doorway of sin. Sickness is a consequence of original sin, but the cross of Christ has dealt sin a full, final, and fatal blow. Does not 1 John 3 and verse 8 tell us, "For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil"? Thus the cross secures your divine immunity. And you appropriate the cross by partaking of the bread and the wine, which is the blood and the body of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's why to keep coronavirus outside your body and outside your home, you need to bring the body and the blood of Christ inside. The power of the bread and wine is also illustrated for us in Genesis 14. Verses 17 to 20. Let me read it for you. "And the king of Sodom went out to meet him, Abraham, in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley, after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, 'Blessed be Abraham of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hands.' And Abraham gave him a tithe of all." Now, The king of Sodom, we have to understand, is a type and symbol of Satan. He goes and he tries to negotiate with Abraham as Abraham returns from this battle with the kings. But prior to meeting the king of Sodom, Abraham meets Melchizedek. And Melchizedek brings out bread and wine. And Abraham definitely partakes of this bread and wine. And the bread and wine, you and I know, is a prophetic type of the finished work of Christ on the cross. Thus, Abraham secures the divine immunity present in the cross of Christ. And what happens? The works of the devil are immediately circumvented, and Abraham eludes the evil intentions of the king of Sodom. As you can see again, the breaking of bread is a very, very powerful portal of grace. Through it, you and I can access divine immunity, which the cross has secured for us. And this is one of the ways to ensure that coronavirus passes over your life. Break bread in your homes daily. It is one of the most powerful practices given to us by Christ. And through it, you can elude coronavirus and every other peril, especially in this season and in the future.